So nobody was gonna tell me that Zurich is one of the most expensive cities in Europe before I booked the tickets here. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shalisa if you're new here, and as you already know, I will be sharing with you all my recent trip to Zurich, Switzerland. I can already let you all know up front, I had the best time exploring Switzerland. Switzerland is such a beautiful country, and I cannot wait to share with you all everything we did. You're gonna want to watch this video throughout its entirety because at the end of this video, I'll be sharing with you all what my family spent on a 4.5-day trip in Switzerland, which again, we did not know it is one of the most expensive cities in Europe and technically the world. So make sure you watch until the very end to hear the cost breakdown. Good morning, everyone. This is day 2 of Zurich, but this is like our first official full day here. We just got finished having breakfast in the hotel. We're ready to go, and we're headed to the train station to hop on a train to go to our first tour. We're gonna see how public transportation here is in Zurich. I've heard really good things about it, but I don't know. We don't have any tickets or anything. We're hoping they're gonna just let us tap and get on this tram. So let's see what the tram in the city of Zurich has for us today. One of the first activities, we ended up doing a tour in Switzerland that encompassed both a cruise / boat ride on Lake Zurich, as well as a tour of the Lindt chocolate factory. And I think this tour was great to kind of just be able to sit back and relax and, ride through the city of Switzerland. An additional area that we did see on this tour was Old Town Zurich. And in Old Town Zurich, it has the most expensive retail street in the world. So when you go to this area, you will notice that there are some very famous and high price tag retail stores. I will say that for this particular tour, I felt like they oversold and advertised the cruise. The cruise part of this tour was more so like public transportation. Absolutely beautiful. I loved it. It was a great little city cruise boat that we were able to order drinks and little snacks. Now, the highlight and the finale of the tour was, of course, the Lindt chocolate factory. By the time we got to the factory, I was kind of like, look, let's just not waste any time. I want the chocolate. Give me the chocolate. I will say that from the exhibit, they go into great details of how their company and the factory was established. And what you can look forward to on this tour is the ample amount of free chocolate that you can get. They allow you to taste the chocolate and there's no limitation, The portion of the tour where they give out chocolate samples, they did not limit you. They didn't rush you along. You stand there for hours and eat the chocolate. And I will say the chocolate was delicious.
Is it good, Parker?
Yeah, that was good. After a 2-hour bus ride, we have finally arrived to Interlaken. I know I'm mispronouncing it, but Y'all saw my grumpy face this morning. I was not feeling the idea of we're on a trip and I'm having to wake up at 5:15. But I will say the views here are absolutely stunning, and it so far has been worth getting up that early. This is a 12-hour tour that we're on, but it's not like a fully guided tour, so we have a lot of free time to ourselves. But the views, y'all, the views. Let's take in the beautiful views. For this particular tour, we started off in the town of Interlaken. That is super picturesque. You get to see the Swiss Alps from afar, and there are a lot of shops and restaurants that you can go to. So that's kind of where we kicked off our tour. As you can see, there were parasailers, and there were just a lot of activities that you can do in Interlaken. I will say that this was my favorite tour. I actually enjoyed this particular tour more than the tour that we took on our first day that included the chocolate factory. The Swiss Alps is absolutely breathtaking. Although this was an all-day 12-hour tour, there was a lot of free time. And there was a lot of time and space in the schedule for us to do our own thing. After we visited Interlaken, we went up a little bit further into the Swiss Alps, and we were able to get on a cable car and go to the top of the mountain. And oh my gosh, completely breathtaking and beautiful. It was definitely a pinch me moment, a moment where I had to step back and reflect and just thank God for, you know, all the blessings that He's provided myself and my family, just because, you know, I just would have never imagined that we, you know, would be able to actually visit and go to the top of a Swiss mountain and just view the mountains and the snow tops in person. So it was an amazing moment, and surprisingly, it wasn't that cold. It was not cold at all, which we were shocked by. You see, we didn't have the thickest coats in the world, but it was not cold at all. And we did stop in the town to get some lunch. Nothing, you know, to write home about, but we did stop to get some lunch before taking the train back to Interlaken. Just like the cruise ship on our first tour, I will say the train ride back to Interlaken was definitely overhyped. I didn't have the right expectations. I definitely thought I was going to be on one of those Instagram like trains. Really, the train ride is essentially like taking a public transportation train from one town to another town. Either way, this tour was my favorite. It was extremely beautiful and picturesque, and along with our tour from day one, I will be posting the link to this tour in the description box below. And if you're going to be visiting Switzerland, I highly recommend going on this 12-hour tour. It is a must. Good morning, everyone. We have just gotten back from breakfast and we're about to head out to enjoy our final full day in Zurich. But I did want to stop and just kind of fill y'all in and let y'all know of a place that you got to check out if you are going to be coming to Zurich. I could not film this last night because like my phone was dying. That tour was like all day long. Really great tour, but it was all day long. So by the time we got back to the city, our phones were like on RIP. So we had to salvage every little bit of battery we had to make sure we could get back to the hotel. But we ended up stumbling into this restaurant called Le House. Probably mispronouncing it, but if you are going to be coming to Zurich and you don't have any kids and you're looking for a chill spot where you can just get some beer, hang out with some locals, and just relax and not be in a touristy part of town, I would definitely check this place out. We stumbled in there by accident. Did not realize it was like a full-fledged bar because we ended up taking Parker there, but they were really super accommodating. It was such a nice place. It definitely gave a different vibe and different energy to the city. It was clear that this particular restaurant and the part of the city that it was in was very much like locals, residents, and not like touristy. And it was such a great time. They didn't really have too many food options. Their specialty for the night was mussels and fries. If you're a mussels person, then you'll really enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Don't plan on getting like a full meal here, but if you're looking for some nibbles, some bites, and some good beer, I would definitely check this place out. So we're about to hit the streets and get at the day and kind of see what else Zurich has to offer. Close out our trip to Switzerland on our last full day. We decided to go to the Zurich Zoo. There are so many great reviews about the zoo, and this was one of the few days in our entire trip that the weather was actually really nice. So why not go to the zoo? And I will say that this was a great zoo. After leaving the zoo, of course, you all know we had to get something to eat, and you can't come to Switzerland without getting some fondue. Although this was like one of the warmest days in our entire trip, I was like, I'm not leaving until I get some fondue. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Following our fondue and our lunch, we ended up just walking through the city. Again, this was the nicest day in our entire trip, and one of the things both my husband and I agreed on is the fact that Zurich is probably one of the most walkable cities that we have visited, and we just walked from downtown back to our hotel, and it was such a pleasant walk. For dinner, I ended up finding this restaurant called Fork and Bottle that is a little further out from downtown, but I do feel like it is worth the travel. It is like a farmhouse setup, extremely kid friendly, and the food is really delicious. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if and when we go back to Zurich, I definitely plan on running this restaurant back. So, you all, as you can see, we have made it home safely. I wanted to check back in because y'all remember at the beginning of the video where I was like, so nobody was gonna tell me that Zurich is one of the most expensive cities in Europe? Well, I wanted to let you all know how much we actually ended up spending. When it comes to transportation and eating out, excluding the tours that we took, we ended up spending like $1,265 for everything. Now, mind you, this price primarily makes up us eating out and public transportation. And let's be honest, public transportation was just like a fraction of what we spent. Like public transport, I feel like in total we maybe spent like $50 for public transportation max on the days that we took public transportation. The bulk of what we spent was eating out. Was it worth it? I say yes. I thoroughly enjoyed myself in Zurich. My husband thoroughly enjoyed himself. Like this was probably one of his favorite cities that we have visited since we've been in Europe. I have maintained that since we've moved here, my favorite place that we have visited was Barcelona. However, since visiting and spending time in Zurich, like Zurich is definitely in my top 3 favorite places that we have visited since we have moved to Europe. So Zurich is a beautiful city, and I enjoyed every second of the trip. So although we spent a lot and we will be canceling, we've actually decided to cancel our trip that we were planning on taking in May. Yeah, your girl's staying home in May. We're not going anywhere because Zurich cleaned out our bank account, but it was worth every penny. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video below.